Hello, listeners. Thanks for joining me on the Creative Habit Podcast. I'm your host, Rodney. And today, I'm going to be talking about how girls hate being told to tell me about yourself. I'm going to be shaking a lot of tables with this one, so stay tuned and let us begin. Apparently, people hate being told, tell me about yourself. And by people, I mean millennial women. I personally don't mind it. It's easy for me. But women would rather be stabbed in the eye than justified with a response. Why is that? Because I can tell you that I've on countless occasions, had a girl respond in a manner that was unfavorable when I asked her to tell me about herself. And I'm going to share with you a couple of tweets that really brought this into my consciousness recently. Here's a few, and I quote, "Please don't ask me to tell you about myself if we just met. I won't reply you." Can you hear the entitled ignorance, or is it just me? When else is it appropriate to say to someone, tell me about yourself, if not when you just met them? Here's another one, and I quote, "Tell me about yourself? Bitch, this isn't an interview." Close quote. But it kind of is, though. Any conversation between two recently acquainted individuals is an interview, albeit a light-hearted one with no job on the line. But it's just as important as a job because you're trying to make the right impression and highlight the best aspects of your character to a potential friend, lover, or even a business partner. So, when did tell me about yourself become the worst thing to say to someone, specifically a girl you just met? Someone you know absolutely nothing. Someone you have almost no point of reference about. Sure, it's a cliche, but it's probably the most important statement you will ever respond to. What's the worst thing that can happen if you actually gathered yourself and gave a thoughtful response? I get it. Girls don't often know what to say. I'll even admit it. Sometimes I forget who I am when I'm asked to talk about myself. But beyond that, I think it's a deeper issue for girls. They don't want to think that hard for the sake of someone they just met or are not even remotely interested in. It seems like it's more work than it's worth, but really, it's a very important statement in the right situations. I get it, context is key, but if you dismiss the statement just as a general rule, that's not a good sign, sis. Tell me about yourself is a conversation killer only for those who expect one person to bear the burden of keeping the conversation going. And that's the T. Tell me about yourself is a difficult statement to answer, I get it. Which is why when I meet someone who has an actual answer, it's a breath of fresh air. The way I see it, it's a statement that allows you to control your narrative. It gives you power over the first things you want someone to know about you, the important things, what is important to you. It shows that you know who you are. And if you ask me, again, people who avoid this question expose their lack of self-knowledge. It shows that you're not yet comfortable in your own skin to just go with the flow. On one rare occasion, right? Let me just you guys. On one rare occasion, a girl I was talking to responded by giving me the most honest answer I could have hoped for. She said, and I quote, "Honestly, I don't even know where to start. I'm still trying to figure myself out." Close quote. That response showed humility and thoughtfulness as opposed to the generic response most girls give, talking about, ask me something and I'll tell you, or some other passive aggressive response. Another girl replied by sending her pics. This threw me off, but I give her props for not chickening out, even though it wasn't, what I expected or wanted. She basically let me draw my own conclusions based on the pictures. Either she's an evil genius or she lacks personality. Turned out it was the latter, but I digress. Avoiding the statement shows that you don't want to take responsibility. You rather let the other person determine what they want to know about you, when in actual fact, you should be the one determining what a person should or shouldn't know about you. It shows you're afraid to speak your truth. It shows you're afraid to open up yourself in a real way. It shows you lack depth and personality. It shows you refuse to put some thought into a response. If I ask you to tell me about yourself, it's because I want to know whatever you tell me. There are no wrong answers. Surprise me, or better still, surprise yourself. Talk about a hobby, something you enjoy. Talk about your values. Talk about the work you do or the work you want to do. Talk about anything, no matter how random. Talk about the first thing that comes into your mind. Just get the conversation going. Show your wit. Show your mind. Sell yourself, woman. It's really up to you to determine how in-depth or surface level you want the interaction to be. But just give an answer and keep the conversation going. Chickening out is not an option. Girls will make excuses like, I don't know what to say. I don't know where to start. It's such a general statement. Okay, calm down, okay? Calm down. How about, I love food, or I'm a tequila person. I hate my job. I'm still getting over my ex, if you want to go deep like that. I'm an Aries, but I have Virgo tendencies, if you want to be, funny. I'm a Christian. I'm studying journalism. I sell wigs. I'm a recovering addict, if you just want to put your stuff out there, if that's how you roll. I hate surprises. It's literally up to you to just give the nigga something to bite, It's not a life or death situation. No one's gonna, kill you or hang you or, share and then, just let it go from there. There's a saying, right? Say what type of person you are so that they know what type of person to be. Telling me about yourself is your chance to do just that. Take control of the narrative. Stop all this, victim bullshit, man. And it's low-key a victim thing when you just say you don't answer that kind of question. Fuck out of here. It's because you don't control the narrative that people tend to cross boundaries and ask stupid questions like, are you a virgin? What's your body count? What's your sign? How much money do you make? Like, can we just grab conversations by the balls sometimes? Sure, it's a broad question, but it lets you decide, it lets you decide where the conversation goes. Get into the habit of tackling the statement head on, and I promise you it gets easier with time. You find that your conversations flourish, you're able to, really have some fun with it. To be fair, tell me about yourself is only an effective conversation starter between two self-aware and intelligent individuals who can handle the pressure of being put on the spot and putting themselves out there. Not everybody, has that kind of fortitude, and I get that, and I don't judge anyone for that, But you got to build that skill. It's something you can learn. It's something you can get used to. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach that we must all just hate being asked, tell me about yourself. As you may have figured out by now, I don't mind the question. Personally, I have a different answer every single time. I just have fun with it. And the quality of my conversations never suffer, as a result. It's always, positive vibes and, or not always positive, but still you get to the crux of the matter. You arrive at truth sometimes. For me, if I ask someone to tell me about themselves, it's the first sign into who they are. It's not the most conclusive, but it's a start. How they respond lets me know what I'm dealing with. It doesn't automatically disqualify or qualify someone, but it lets me know where to set my expectations. It lets me know if I have to do all the heavy lifting in the conversation or in the relationship. It lets me know where your head is at emotionally and mentally. It lets me know whether I should dumb myself down for them, if I should conceal aspects of my personality that they would never understand or relate to. It's a nice icebreaker for me personally because that's just how I operate. And I should also point out to the fellas though, let's be real now, to the guys out there, that how you say it is key. How you put that statement out is very key. I'm not one to put all the blame on women when there's a lot men can do to help the situation. If you ask her to tell you about herself in a very dry, dull, and confrontational tone, you can bet that her walls will go up in an instant. Her pussy will dry up for you in a minute. Excuse my French. But if you ask her in a manner that sounds judgy or in a tone that sounds like you have an agenda, she will shoot you down quicker than 9/11, yo. But if you bring it up in a light-hearted, playful manner, she's more likely to relax. If you show genuine interest in her story and what she has to say, she may indulge you. If you show her that there's no pressure, it's just you trying to get to know her, you will most likely get some good responses. Girls are very sensitive to this stuff. They can smell bullshit a mile away, yo. Don't even play with these ladies. You gotta come correct or take a hard L. Especially these days where, everyone is knowing their worth, as they say. Everyone, is trying to be the shit. And I applaud that. So, the brothers out there, you guys gotta step up. The fact is that most guys are also just lazy and use tell me about yourself as a crutch for their poor conversational skills. What I would say is that you gotta lead up to the statement in a proper way. You can't just throw it out there like an unsolicited dick pic. Build the rapport during the introduction. During small talk. So that way when you drop the bomb, it won't seem so out of place. Make it clear that you will reciprocate. Or here's an idea. How about you go first? Tell her something about yourself, then let her have her turn. Keep in mind that the things you reveal will set the tone for her own level of candor. Set the tone and let her replicate that shit. Finesse is key, fellas. Finesse is key. If after all is said and done, you do all of that and she still acts like she's too big to respond, then you can proceed to make your own assumptions. You've done the best you can and it's clear that she's just not, on your level. That said, I would advise ladies to review their take on the tell me about yourself phenomenon. Get to the bottom of why that statement is such a pain for you and then work on it. If you know who you are and what you stand for, telling someone about yourself in any situation will never be a source of anxiety. In fact, you should welcome any opportunity to talk about the things that matter to you, especially if you have the privilege of an audience. Man, what would I give for someone to say, Rodney, tell me about yourself. Tell me about what is up with you in your life right now and in general. And I would just sit back with my cup of tea and coffee and be like, fam, where do I begin? And proceed to, name the main points that are relevant, of course, to the conversation. You know what I mean? So, let's all, do better, guys. Here's the takeaway, right? Some guys suck at talking to women. Fact. And some women can't stand the perceived lack of effort. Also fact. So let's cut each other some slack and meet in the middle. Who knows what potentially fulfilling relationships we miss out on when we cancel each other out because we both, have no idea how to cultivate a conversation. Get creative, people. Life is too short. It's too goddamn short. And that wraps another episode of the Creative Habit Podcast. Do not forget to share and subscribe. I'm also on Instagram and Twitter at Rodney Avo. One word. Once again, I'm your host, Rodney, and I will see you guys next time. And who knows, maybe I'll tell you about myself. Rodney out.